Hey, yo.
Yo, yo.
Yo.
Yep. What's going on?
I need a toothpick. Next time I'm bringing out the toothpick if I'm going to say hey, yo. I gotta be in full Razor Ramon character for this. But welcome
Definitely.
to the first episode of Wrestling with My Thoughts. That's not wrestling, that's wrestling with my thoughts. I'm your host, Ryan Antonio Henry, here with I'm going back into my below the hardwood days where I would say the compadres, the homies, the friends, the crew, just any synonym or whatever word you want to say for the fine folks that I'm joined with. But what you're witnessing right now is the first episode called The State of Wrestling. And what this is if you have never seen my Instagram page, I started this out just inspired by what I saw when I went to Washington, D.C. and watched John Cena lose in his final match. And I had so many thoughts. I had so many things that I wanted to get out. And I had nobody to talk to because I went to DC by myself just to go on a spur of the moment trip just to go see it. And I'm like, man, let me just start a page, a channel, just so I could get this out and see what people are saying. And randoms that obviously the internet went to interneting and they came at me at TikTok, they came at me on Instagram, and then my own friends have their own opinions. So I'm like, you know what, let me just get on here and talk about this thing that I've been in and out of wrestling for over 30 years at this point. Like, you had me at the Attitude Era, loved it. PG era, I kind of jumped out a bit, like most people did. And then in this last recent era, I've kind of been dragged back in. And yeah, I just kind of, again, why not just talk wrestling? I loved it. There's no reason to say any other reason. Like, I'm sorry, it's always going to be a part of my life and I've accepted that. So, let's get right into it. Let's stop wasting time. You know why you're here. We have, Nectarius, aka Nino. I've known this man for, again, I was just saying in the green room, over 25, probably more plus years. We've been talking wrestling with each other since elementary. I remember lining up in the cold ass weather in Richmond Hill, Ontario to go see Rob Van Dam at Walmart with this guy. And we were the first in line and it was fantastic because a lot of people got the fake photocopied Rob Van Dam autograph, which was hilarious because I was rubbing it in people's faces at school when they saw my actual really signed Rob Van Dam autograph. So shout out to Nino.
Amazing.
Yeah, and we were both in the newspaper. You forgot to mention that.
Oh, fuck. I forgot that. We were in the freaking newspaper with Rob Van Dam. I have the clipping somewhere. It's like buried somewhere. I have to go find that. But yeah, like that was a time. We got Sina. I've been talking sports with Sina again, probably for 2 decades now, on and off, just whether it be basketball, wrestling. I don't know if you're ever you were a football guy, no?
Yeah, I'm a football guy too. Yeah,
Yeah, you're a football
but
guy too.
we don't talk football much though.
We don't
More
talk football much.
Basketball and wrestling always.
Exactly. I didn't tell you this. You're actually the reason I went to WrestleMania 39.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, because I remember you told me you were gonna go.
Yes,
and I was like, fuck, I gotta do this. Like, I have to go. So I got like a group chat of like 10 of my friends, and I'm just like, we're going to LA. You guys can do whatever the hell you want to do, but I'm going to WrestleMania. I'm buying my ticket. Let's just go party in LA for a week. And we did it. And I went to WrestleMania night 1 by myself, and then night 2 with a friend. And I was just like, I'm so glad I did this. And we're going to talk about WrestleMania because that was the last WrestleMania under someone's control. And I didn't have to spend $15,000 just to go sit in the seat.
I still want to go to one more WrestleMania. I haven't gone since 18 when I was in Toronto, and I remember that one a lot. But yeah,
and that's the one that I didn't get to go to, and I've been pissed off about. But I'm happy I got to see 39.
Yeah, me neither. That's my biggest regret, missing the WrestleMania 18 to this day.
Yeah. And so again, thank you for joining, Sina. And Mark McNally. Mark, I met about a month or so ago when we went and did trivia at the Pressure Cooker Live. Shout out to the Pressure Cooker Live. Mark beat my ass in trivia.
Again, as I said in the green room, I don't think I beat your ass. I think I got on a bit of a hot streak.
Yeah.
And we were here in my apartment exactly where I'm sitting right now. So I was I had home court advantage. Maybe that was part of it. But I think it was a pretty evenly contested trivia game. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, sounding off with you. And we talked a lot of wrestling, and Mark, the guy that was filming us, had no idea what we were talking about, but we were going into that wrestling language of just talking and not making any sense to anybody else, but loving every minute of it. So appreciate you having me on, man. It's nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, pleasure. Introductions out of the way. Thank you guys again. But yeah, let's get right into it. And where we're going to start off with is WrestleMania. Obviously, we're officially 1 week removed. We would be permitted not to speak about WrestleMania because there's just so many feelings about it. I guess where we could start and where I'd like to start and see what your guys' takes is. For me, WrestleMania, obviously it wasn't the greatest. I don't know if we're all in the same boat here in terms of what it's been and what it is now. Everything from the build up, I just remember growing up and seeing the promos. The promo was the biggest thing that got you hyped up for it. You can go back to my favorite WrestleMania 17. Everyone knows that promo, the My Way promo with Rock and Austin. That promo had everybody absolutely hyped up for what they were about to see. It gave you chills. It gave you what does The Rock do with his arm every time he comes out? The butterflies. It gave you that just watching that promo. And I'm looking at WrestleMania 42 and I'm like, where was the highlight reel promo? Where was the moment or the moments that they always talk about that you are burned into your memory, that are burned into your mind? I can go back and I remember WrestleMania 17. I know those moments. It's Edge spearing Jeff Hardy off the ladder. It's Stone Cold teaming up with Vince McMahon and the handshake. It's the multiple chair shots to the sternum. It's there's just so many burned images that I have from each WrestleMania. WrestleMania 18, Hulk Hogan and The Rock. The images are there. I don't have that image for WrestleMania 42. I have what do I have? I have okay. I'll give you one. I'll give you one. And I'll let you guys go. I have Brock Lesnar and the surprise retirement burned in my head. That's pretty much the lasting image that I have from WrestleMania 42. But enough of my talking. Let's start. Nino, what did you like? What did you hate? Give me your take on WrestleMania 42.
You know what? As we talked about before, night one was an absolute disaster. If it wasn't for Seth Rollins and Gunther, it was a lackluster night. And the thing that blew me away was the women's matches and how of a short time they had with the matches. I was shocked that they didn't give Liv Morgan and Stephanie 25 to 30 minutes.
What was it, 8?
Yeah, 8 minutes. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. And we knew what we were gonna get from Speed, being a celebrity. He did his thing, but I expected more from him. And Fatu and Drew McIntyre delivered, but I expected a little more backstage brawl because it was an unsanctioned match. And Paige's surprise return was a really eye-opening experience because if you think about it, she got the loudest pop of the night, which was
Yeah.
funny. And honestly, Gunther and Seth Rollins saved the night because we knew Liv Morgan was gonna obviously win after her victory. from Royal Rumble. Becky Lynch, we knew she was gonna take the title from AJ Lee. Cause come on, AJ Lee's part-time, and don't get me started on night one of the main event, cause that ruined my whole fucking night, man. What? What the fuck? You have Randy Orton turn heel, make Cody bleed like a bitch. You have him build up the 15-time World Heavyweight Championship, and he doesn't even win. What the fuck was that? So they pitched that away.
The main
And
event.
I'm sorry. I love Cody Rhodes, but he's
Yeah.
extremely boring. He reminds me of a modern day John Cena, but a way better wrestler.
Yeah. Yo, he's basically another version of Super Cena.
But way better in the ring.
Yeah, like.
And I think it's time for him to turn heel. Enough's enough. Because if you saw his work with New Japan and ROH when he was a heel, he was much better as a heel.
Beautiful work as a heel. Like, man, like, I don't have anything. I don't disagree with anything you just said. I liked the Page return. Because I try to stay off the tea leaves and like the gossip pages like leading up to, because I know that's usually
now I don't even I don't even listen to that anymore because I want a surprise.
Yeah, exactly, right? And I didn't know about the Page one until one of my friends sent me a link a day before, and he kind of ruined it for me. But I didn't think she was going to be there, so I still had that surprise, thankfully.
I didn't know. I wasn't reading any rumor pages, so that was a complete surprise. And it was about time for her to come back home because she wasn't being used in AEW.
No,
properly.
No. Yeah, like I always like anybody that leaves this company. We've seen it. Anybody that leaves this company will always come back. Once Brett came back, I was like, there's absolutely no reason why anybody wouldn't come back at any point. The only person that will never come back is Ryback because he's ass. But that's another story. Cena.
Yeah, night one was a disaster. I know WrestleMania is used for surprises, but the amount of interference in every match on night one. I mean, going back to that Liv Morgan match, it was pretty much Judgment Day versus Vasquera.
Yeah.
The Seth Rollins match, I thought delivered, but was ruined by the interference and by the Sphere at the end there. They didn't need to do that. I don't think you needed to have that interference to give Gunther the win.
No.
If you were going to go that route. Neither one, you could have them both go over either way and it would have been fine, I think. But then going back, the women's just didn't deliver. And I don't know what their issue is and why they want to push Liv so much. I mean, she's gotten a lot better from where she was in her Riot Squad days. That was the time when they should have kept her push, but to keep it going this long, because you have Io Sky, who wasn't even on the card, much better wrestler. Tiffany Stratton too. They don't make the card, but last year they were both champions going into Mania.
Yeah.
And then again with the why give Ice Speed a WrestleMania moment? Honestly, the best weekend out of the WrestleMania moment that I would say, Danhausen. I remember his moment probably better than anyone else because when he came out, you had Michael Cole reference those little guys as midgets. With all that. That was probably one of the better parts of the weekend. And I mean, like, again, going back to the female, like, what are they doing? And to put it on the tag titles on Paige and Brie Bella, I thought was just not the way to go. Like, again, I think they're wasting it with Charlotte and Alexa. I mean, Alexa for how many years? She probably has one of the biggest fan bases, I think, by far. Everyone loves her. She puts on great matches. They don't want to push her because of her injury history. She's the same size as like Liv Morgan, but better. Put the titles at least on her and Charlotte. Let them do something. But to put it on Brie Bella, we all know not the greatest wrestler. No offense to her or anything like that. I'm not saying I'm any better, but she's all she does is really the kicks that she stole from her husband.
Pretty much.
That gets the crowd getting behind her. Outside of that, it's like I just thought it was really lackluster. Then the main event, again, you turned Orton heel. but it was similar to the Cena heel turn. It just doesn't work at this point in their career to make them a heel. Fans are too behind them. And if you're going to make him a heel, why make him lose his WrestleMania match? I think that defeats the whole purpose of turning him heel. Because when you turn John Cena heel, he obviously won cheating tactic or whatever. You turn Randy Orton heel, he should have won that match.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly,
so I think they dropped the ball really there, because it's like you had Pat McAfee come out, do his little shindig. Then you had Jelly Roll come out. Then you had Randy turn face for a second, as you thought when you RKO'd him. And then you didn't even have Randy show up on SmackDown this week. So I don't know where they're going with that. I just thought they dropped it on that storyline. Could have been better. And going back to, like you said, they had all the hype going into the matches, but they just didn't deliver on night one at all with anything, I would say. And to go on your The Rock and Stone Cold clip from 17, I think the 19 buildup was better.
Oh, really?
Trailer for that one, yeah. I mean, like you said, if you go back to every WrestleMania, there's something you can remember from in the last 2 decades, at least something from every single one. You could be like, okay, there was something on that night that blew my mind. Like if you go back to WrestleMania 19, you had the trilogy with Stone Cold and The Rock finally finishing. You had Brock Lesnar's moonsault. You had the Undertaker with who is that, Tyson Tank or whatever, in that tag team match against Albert and Big Show. You had Jericho and Shawn Michaels. This WrestleMania, you could have done something, but the women's almost all their matches, even unfortunately the Rio one on night 2, just I think Jade was I don't know. Once we get into night 2, we'll
all of them under 20 minutes. Like it's disappointing.
Well, night 1 had 1 hour in advertisement time.
Yeah.
What WrestleMania do you know in a 4-hour show you're getting already defeated with 1 hour of advertisement? You know, it takes an hour for entrances almost when you put it all together.
Yeah.
So the amount of wrestling time was just,
and it felt rushed.
Night.
The entrances, to be honest, felt kind of rushed, to be honest. The women's tag team match
with advertising, because you got more advertising than time with the matches.
Yeah, I mean, or even they could have done it up better. I mean, the first night I felt it was 4 women's matches in a row at one point. I think it went.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to rush it and get them out of the way, which kind of sucks because it goes back into what they were doing back in the day.
Yeah, and it was
3
just
matches,
3 matches,
Mark, what was your take? You don't even have to focus on night 1. You can give me night 2. What did you like? What did you hate? What was your perspective?
I think we covered a lot of what I was going to say. I do think that I think we watched the trailer for the Hulk Hogan documentary for a longer amount of time than the women's matches altogether, which is a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So night 1, when I finished it, I had the thing of like, I don't think I like that, but it was just like, you want to like WrestleMania. And then I woke up the next morning, I was like, no, that was shit. That really was just an awful pay-per-view, not just an awful WrestleMania. And the things that stand out from night 1, going back to Fatu and Drew, that was supposed to be no holds barred. And I think that they did a very standard hardcore match rather than a blood feud match. I'm sure the guys in the main event said, we're going to bleed. Nobody else can bleed on purpose on this show. So that takes away an element of that match. And I was hopeful for that match, and it didn't turn out well. Stephanie and Liv, I'm like, Stephanie's my girl. I'm fully in love with her, and I want it. I suspected that Liv was going to win, but I was hoping that they could give us a good, even 15-minute match. And when it ended as quickly as it did, I was pissed. And they've been sowing all these seeds in the women's division, and they just don't seem to want to pull the trigger on any of them. And, the Judgment Day has been will they, won't they for so long. It seemed like it would have been a good time for Roxanne or anyone from that group to kind of turn. And what else was I thinking of? The one thing in the women's tag match, I liked when Paige and Charlotte went face to face. I thought that was a very interesting dynamic that I hope gets played out more, because also I didn't know Paige really. Like, I got into wrestling and Paige was in her latter years right before she retired.
PG era.
And then, I knew her mostly because she was retired, but there was a movie about her. And then when she got to AEW, it was like watching like a 65-year-old man wrestle. She really didn't show anything to me. And so that night she looked pretty good. And I do I love that she's tag team champs with Abella? Not really. But I did see something that I had been told about that I had never seen before. And I'm excited to see her chop it up with some of the newer people. Like I think Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Rhea, and Serena Deeb. Those are the 4 women in wrestling that it doesn't matter who they're facing, they can pull a good match out of them. They could literally bring a wet mop into the ring and have a good match with them.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of women who can't have a good match at all, even when they are in the ring with someone that's developed enough. And that's not me knocking the women's division. There's just a lot of women that, especially from past eras, who never caught up to the Baileys, the Charlottes, the Sashas, that can produce a good match, a pay-per-view quality, possibly main event. I have been campaigning that Rhea should have been a main event this year. I know that her story didn't really dictate that as much, but people who don't watch wrestling are obsessed with Rhea the same way we're obsessed with Rhea. She is the goth girl. She is the meme that we all see. She is gorgeous and interesting and something different to the product. And I feel like this was the Mania to give her the match she should have had, the main event she should have had. What was it, 4 years ago against Charlotte?
Yeah.
And because next year they're in Saudi and she's going to be in the spaceman suit. And whenever the women are in the full leotard thing, they don't show those clips ever. And if you're going to give someone a main event match, you want them to look their best. And I first off, I thought she looked amazing. All the costumes too. That's one of the things I always like, the gear, especially at Mania. I thought there was some good gear this year. And then, sorry, I will jump into night 2 just because I think we're headed that way anyways.
Yeah.
Night 2 saved the weekend in a lot of ways, but it was still a little disappointing. Again, I don't think, I think there's way too much advertisements. And look, I don't mind advertisements on the canvas. I even think it's funny that the tables say Slim Jim. I think that's kind of funny, and it's a smart way to get an ad in front of us. And you're snapping the tables to snap into a Slim Jim. It's a company that's directly tied to wrestling, specifically WWE for years because of the Macho Man, and now they've kind of given it to LA Knight and a few other people.
Yeah.
But the amount of ads that I watched both nights was nauseating. What else from night 2 was I really looking forward to? That main event saved it. And like you said, I think of years ago, there's an interview with Kevin Nash where he talked about they were doing the Nitro the day after WrestleMania 14, and Kevin Sullivan came up to Nash and go, Did you see WrestleMania last night? And Nash is like, yeah. And Kevin Sullivan said something to the effect of, did you hear the crash last night? That's the Titanic, WCW. hitting the iceberg and going down. And Nash said the big thing that they both talked about was every single match either had a clip to set up what had happened either the previous Monday, or they had like a movie trailer-esque video setting up what this match was, explaining who the two people were, why they're fighting, what's going on. And I think with that year, you have Austin, getting the crown in a certain sense and winning that Royal Rumble. And they had a good story for him going into that Royal Rumble as the marked man. There wasn't really any of that this year, like again, they had a 20-year story of Randy and Cody, and instead they went Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll. And they had a 10 to 15-year story of Roman and Punk, which they played into, but I feel like there was so much time leading up to that match that they didn't really know how they were going to build it. They just knew these two people hate each other and we have a lot of time. And it became the main event of Raw every week, which it was a little weak.
Yeah.
It's if they're not touching, then it's hard to really get into it. And it's just them talking to one another. But yeah, I would agree. Danhausen's moment was great. I'm very happy with how quickly they turned it, because I thought the Danhausen introduction at Elimination Chamber was hot garbage. I think it didn't, but
we'll get to that.
Okay, we will. That's then I won't go on with that. But yeah, night one was the drizzling shit, and night two was can't even say saved.
Yeah.
It was better, and I worry that that's Triple H going like, aha, night one was TKO's night two is mine, haha, I'm the real babyface of this company, when if we found out very recently that it's not necessarily always him calling the shots. So
yeah,
that's my take.
I'll say this. I agree with most of what you guys all had to say. I think the general consensus is that, yeah, it fell way short of what it should be. For me, the lore is just not there anymore. You used to get excited for it like it was literally like it's supposed to be the Super Bowl. It's supposed to be the NBA Finals. It's supposed to be the Stanley Cup Final. It's supposed to be like the end of the wrestling year, if you want to say, and it just like completely fell short. In terms of like things that I actually remember, yeah, like loved the Paige return. I thought that was great. I thought she should have come back. Did it have to be the Bellas? I think it had to be, just because that's who she worked with. And if you pair her up with any of the new girls today, it might not work as much. They could have used that opportunity to give that to like, one of the new girls that needs a push, but I don't hate that they gave her to Brie. I think they would have probably rather give her to Nikki, but if that Nikki injury is actually legitimate, she obviously couldn't wrestle, and that's why Paige was even there. The Lesnar retirement, I want to get on that, because that actually shocked the hell out of me. Like many people, I thought Lesnar was going to retire at SummerSlam, because SummerSlam is in Minnesota. And that was actually my next, like, I'm going there, but I don't think I'm going anymore, because I was literally prepared for Lesnar Gunther. But that came out of left field for me. That's like the one burning image, the moment that I actually have from this WrestleMania, is seeing Brock put down the gloves. And even that, I was like, no, he's not done. Because we saw that with AJ. And AJ, like, weirdly, I think he put them back on, right?
He picked them back up, yeah.
And then we were like, but is he done? And he really was done. But again, like, my desk is magically moving. Like, I don't, like, it just, like, it didn't, like, hit me, like, yo, he's actually done. And then you see Paul Heyman with the most genuine, real, raw, authentic tears coming down his face. And he looks like a fat walrus, just like sobbing. And I'm like, oh my God, like Lesnar's done. Like, that was the one thing that is like stuck in my mind. And that's what WrestleMania is. Like, you should go to each like match, each thing, and just be able to like take one thing from it. I can barely take anything from anything. The Jade and Rhea match, you know, Jade's reversal into the into her finisher. That's the only thing I had from that match, because it was such a nice the way she went under her legs and picked her up for the finish. I was like, okay, you know, the match wasn't so bad. The finish was pretty decent. I like what you said, Mark, about Rhea being that next to get the women's main event at WrestleMania, because she should. Like, you look what it took to get a women's main event. It took three of the biggest women's names in combat sports. It took Charlotte, Becky, and
Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey, just to get the main event, and they killed it. Rhea's like one of the only names they have that could honestly hold that spot. And like, yeah, I think they may have missed a perfect opportunity to do it. I think it could be done, but yeah, like nobody wants to see that in Saudi. Saudi changes everything. We're going to get into that too. I kind of want to begin to move away from WrestleMania, but like, man, like, I'm just looking at it. The women's matches all angered me, not because of them. It's just because like it was so short. The one match I came into more than any looking forward to it. Obviously, I loved the Obafemi Brock Lesnar one. That I think was the most well done thing that they did. They had Oba squash Brock in order to basically pass the torch, and I thought that was done brilliantly. That's the one thing that I'm like, okay, you guys did good here. It didn't need to be that long. It just, it's kind of like it goes back to Brock squashing Cena every time they faced. Every time Brock Lesnar faced Cena, this guy would destroy him in like nothing. Just give him like 20 suplexes, and then Super Cena looks like he's nothing. And they kept doing that with Brock and Cena. So now it's like, oh shit, Brock got squashed by Obafemi. So I liked that. The Braun Breaker, I kind of saw it coming. I didn't know if he was going to be injured or not. So I get why he was there. The spear, cool, awesome. But yeah, like I'm looking down the card, and I'm like, I'm struggling to, even a week out, I'm struggling to remember most of what happened. Like, yeah, the iShow Speed moment was cool. I don't hate Speed. I actually like him. Let's get into the celebrity thing, because the celebrity thing and the impact is crazy right now. Let me list off the amount of celebrities, and I'm not just talking about crowd celebrities. Fine. George Kittle, love George Kittle in the crowd. Love
he was great.
Halliburton
in the crowd. Love those guys in the crowd. Love the Stephen A getting booed. That was perfect, because I actually hope he does eventually do something with wrestling, because I think he would be a fantastic manager, but I'll get into that later. Jelly Roll, little Yachty, Pat McAfee, he still technically counts as a celebrity.
Funny
Lin
guy
Manuel,
Mark was there.
Marco, because Marco did. There was a lot of interviews.
See,
like,
they should
I don't know
use
if you guys
him.
kept. Yeah, they should do something with him. I don't know if you guys kept up. There was so much interviews on podcast. Like, people went to Funny Marco, people went to Joe Budden, people went to Cameron, people like they went to ESPN every day leading up to WrestleMania. Like, the amount of celebrities and touring podcast was like unreal. And I'm like, I get it. Like, you're trying to attract a world that doesn't belong to you so you can bring them in. But do you guys think that the celebrity reach is like just overkill? Like, I'll give you this. I like Yachty. I saw over the last 3 to 4 weeks that he could actually speak on the mic, and he actually fits with Trick Williams. I don't know if you guys saw last SmackDown where he basically said, hey, it's funny because they actually acknowledge it. The celebrity tour is now over, but I'm still here. So I think we're actually going to get Yachty more on Trick Williams being like his mic piece, his manager. Trick doesn't need a mic piece, but if Yachty kind of keeps this up, I don't hate it. But overall, are you guys cool with multiple celebrities having matches? You guys, do you think Jelly Roll needs to go? I'll say this before I hand the mic. The greatest, my favorite celebrity wrestler of all time, outside of Mr. T, obviously, because he obviously held his own at WrestleMania 1, is Bad Bunny, because the dude actually put on an unbelievable performances. He's had more than like 3 or 4 matches, and each one has been like phenomenal. So I'll give Bad Bunny all the hype in the world. I'll give Speed all the credit in the world, because Speed, he held his own. But Nino, do you want more celebrities? Are you okay with, keeping them away? Like, what do you think?
Celebrities are always a part of the game, as dating back to WrestleMania 1. So I think they're always here to stay. And look, if they're a celebrity and they love the business, like you mentioned, Bad Bunny, who puts on crazy performances, his match with Damian Priest at Backlash was one of the best
Backlash.
street fights. Yeah, it was one of the best street fights, and you can see he loves it, man. And I'm sick and tired of everybody dissing Logan Paul, because he's one of the best wrestlers in the company, man. Fuck, I'll say this: he's better than half the roster on AEW right now. He has the overall. You can laugh all you want, but it's true,
It's true.
It's
No,
true.
it's true. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and I just can't wait till he wins the heavyweight title, so the internet will blow up. And you know what?
Oh, yeah.
The one thing that pissed me off is Killer Cam not coming there WrestleMania, because his promo with Jey Uso was hilarious.
That was one of the best pieces of
Yeah,
promotional like interviews that I've ever seen. His like, okay, obviously it's not a secret. His acting was phenomenal. And
yeah.
Jay Uso has been getting shit on by the world for like a long time now. But like him in that interview, if I didn't watch wrestling, I would have thought Jay was literally about to smoke this guy.
Yeah, that's what I told everybody. Like, in that
Yeah.
interview, if you didn't watch him in wrestling, that was a great segment for Jey Uso. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people online, they think that he can't cut a promo. He can, but it's not believable, man. But if you watch that and didn't see his wrestling promos, you would think he's a great promo talker, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And they kept it going too on Raw. He called out
Uh,
Roman.
yeah, and you know what? That's another thing. If you're using celebrities, you got to keep pushing the product. No, not weekly, but maybe monthly, or maybe building up to a pay-per-view. Like Cameron said, I'll see you SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that plants the seeds. Who knows? We might see more promos, or we might see more build up with him on weekly television. And like you said about Little Yachty, like you see, he loves it. But I agree with you. Trick Williams doesn't need no mic piece, because he's phenomenal right now. You can give him every single belt, and he'll sell everything. Because when he talks, he prints out money, and as soon as you hear "Whoop That Trick," you go crazy. It's one of the
Yeah.
best theme songs right now. You see the
Facts.
crowd; they love him, man.
Sina, you got.
Yeah, no, I'm not on the big celebrity thing. I think, like you touched on as well, Bad Bunny's definitely the best celebrity, because he came in and took it seriously and did his thing. Jelly Roll did good the one match he did with Randy Orton last summer, but it
Yeah.
wasn't anything special. But it's too much. I mean, I don't think. Well, this is a little bit off time. I don't think Trick Williams is as good as everybody says he is. I
Ooh.
mean, going back
Okay.
to the theme song, I mean, that's very similar to Jay's theme song. You just come out in day one ish, and they all do their little dumb going up and down like that. If honestly, I wish Cameron, and during that thing, would have, because if you heard it, he called him like, "Why are you bringing me Saturday night wrestlers and this and this?" He should have been like, "How do you call yourself main event Jey Uso but open up WrestleMania?"
Yeah.
Like, how many years this guy used to call himself main event Jey Uso, and he would open up the pay-per-views.
It was
So
fantastic. Yeah.
some of that, but again, they're stretching again. I Again, I don't think they should have brought Little Yachty. I thought maybe they should have brought Quavo, who's been around for a lot more of their stuff, because he's been supporting it for like 3-4 years too, like nonstop every time. And I think he could wrestle probably even in there. So maybe just him, but outside of that, they got to stop with all these celebrities. It's like when WCW was going down that line and they gave David Arquette the title. That's what it felt like with giving Speed a WrestleMania moment. Like, I'm sorry, guys, like there's probably plenty of wrestlers in the back that like Carmelo Hayes, who didn't even make the card, but yet you want to give a moment to a celebrity. To me, it just doesn't make any sense sometimes, the direction. Or even if you had you could have added Carmelo Hayes and given him Quavo
Yeah,
and made it a triple threat match, because I don't see why he's not even being involved in it.
yeah. You hit it on the head, actually. Like, these celebrities, you could have literally given a spot to Julia, who didn't have a match, and she was the United States Women's Champion. Technically, there was some belts that weren't even defended, like the men's tag team championship. I don't think that was defended.
No.
So it's like you guys are kind of like what, like, why? Just to give Speed a moment. Like, and I get it. Speed has this many viewers, and this is why I think it's TKO. I don't know how much of Triple H this is. Like, the internet hates Triple H. I know people hate Triple H, and I know he's not the greatest. I know he can make some calls that people are just like, but I truly believe that this was a TKO decision to bring on all of these celebrities, and I get it. It's reach. They think they're an entertainment company. Endeavor's been around, like they do what they do, but I still don't think they know what wrestling, like the wrestling fan wants. So they're just kind of, reaching as hard as they can. But Mark, anything on the celebs taking over, taking spots?
Yeah, I mean, I will always defend Bam Bam Bigelow and Lawrence Taylor's match. Could it have been the main event of WrestleMania 11? You could debate that, but I still think they did a really good job with that. Like you said, Mr. T is integral to the very first WrestleMania, to the second one as well. There's so many celebrities that have been in that were in the first one. So they are part of it, especially that night. I thought the triple threat, the 6-man tag with Speed and those guys, that's a raw match at best. That shouldn't have been on your biggest pay-per-view of the year. And the other thing too is I don't know the influencer world as much as everybody else seems to know. So I had no idea who I Show Speed was at the Rumble last year. I only found out at this Mania that he was the guy in the Prime bottle who got put through the table 2 Manias ago or whatever it was. I didn't realize that was him. I don't know anything about him. I know Logan Paul because of his controversies, or I knew Logan Paul because of his controversies. Logan has done some impressive things. The one that really made me go like, all right, I gotta not hate this guy as much, is when he was facing Ray, and Ray almost missed the moonsault, and Logan caught him.
Yeah.
That made me go, all right, this guy actually does give a shit about the other wrestler that he's in the ring with. He's not just there to boost his stock. He's not Snooki, But I think I mean, you look at what's happened to Cody's main events over the last 2, and if you want to look at Rock as a celebrity now, 3 years, where they've pushed someone who isn't a wrestler into the main event almost over Cody's spot in Travis Scott and now Pat McAfee. So I'm of a mixed mind. I think that it is WrestleMania. It started out as a display of like, we're not just this carny thing anymore. We're on TV. We're giving you the biggest entertainers. our guys are huge entertainers as well. That was the whole point of WrestleMania is like, look, Hulk Hogan, Cyndi Lauper, Mr. T, Liberace, all these names that mattered at the time were all equal to one another. And I think now, because it's also not based on television, it's like you said, it's based on followers and viewers of social media and so much. So there can be a lot of people who are not in your sphere of what you pay attention to, and they get up there and they get these huge applause. Like I didn't know who Bad Bunny was until that WrestleMania, and I fully agree. He's had some great matches. That intro at Backlash, I don't know him. I only knew him from his previous match, but I get chills watching it, because when a crowd is that into something and they're singing along to the song, he breaks out the shopping cart with all the toys, the weapons and everything like that. Those are moments. Those are things that build into the whole match. They could have had a completely shit match, but just that viral clip alone is a huge deal. So
Huge.
I'm of a mixed mind, but I do think it's unfair to sacrifice really good wrestler spots on the biggest show of the year for someone who not everyone knows or is only there really to have their one moment, and yeah, I think George Kittle chugging the beers was a hilarious throughout gag, and I think they can be smarter about how they add people in.
Yeah. And I think it goes literally what you just said there is a great way to end it. Like, if you have them in their right spots, that'd be great. If you guys remember, like, just going back to other WrestleManias, backstage segments was such a huge thing. That's where I
Huge.
want the celebrities. I want them doing the backstage pop-ups. They're talking to people. They're, oh, hey, how are you doing? Maybe you might get like a punch. Someone teases something like a Pete Rose spot where, okay, you just had this intense match. You're calming down from it. Bring out a celebrity to the ring. Oh, let him get chokeslammed by Kane or something. And then, that's Pete Rose's legacy in the WWE. And we love it like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Well,
as a fan. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say again, Bob Uecker, the famous clip of him being choked by Andre.
Yeah.
You're right. That having them and I was thinking of WrestleMania 10, you had Burt Reynolds, goofing around. And I, like you said, I think if you use them properly, if you use them as a ring announcer or a backstage correspondent, or just give them the quick, look who's here, blah, 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 and give them 2 seconds to talk, or even, they take a swing at a wrestler when they're coming to the ring goofily. Like they can be used, but don't have to be front and center and take a spot. And I'm sorry for jumping in on you guys, but yeah.
Oh, no. Mm-hmm.
I don't think that that's on purpose of we're going to give him Goldberg's gimmick. I think they really want a Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, big
replacement.
Yeah, replacement kind of guy where they can give him that, where they can, like the Brock versus Goldberg match from, I think it was WrestleMania 33, one of the most exciting matches I've ever seen. And I was hoping we would get a cut and paste version of that match between Brock and Goldberg. I thought, especially if Brock retires, they should have gone 2, 3, 5 more minutes. They should have done like 10 minutes, especially if he is going to take off the boots and go. But I think, I don't think that, like I said, I don't think they purposely went, we're going to give Oba Goldberg's gimmick. I think the Oba chants and the ooh and the walk are what the crowd is attracted to. So there are similarities, but it's because it's the same as yeet, what, all these things that we've seen a million times in wrestling, just the word changed and the character has changed. Like LA Knight, he gets called out as being very similar to The Rock and Stone Cold, but that's who he grew up on.
Yeah.
I'm sure they saw Oba and went, this guy's a powerhouse. We can build him into a monster. Let's push him. And if he goes the Goldberg Brock Lesnar way, like that's what you want. You want the glass shatter and everybody loses their mind. You want the Brock Lesnar sound that goes off and everybody loses their mind or goes, oh, you want people to have that reaction and even whoop that trick. I just going back to the trick thing very quickly. I was working with a guy who was not into wrestling at all. And he came up to me one day and he's like, tell me about Trick Williams. And I was like, oh, yeah, I think he just came up from NXT. And he goes, he's got to be like their top guy, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, and I didn't realize that he had debuted on SmackDown. And he came out in the white fur with the chain and they're singing Whoop That Trick. And this guy who doesn't know anything about wrestling was so impressed by him. And I was like, just because they're cheering for him now doesn't mean the company hears that in a lot of ways. But if they do and they pick up on it, it can be a big thing. And it can push that person forward and push that character and those storylines forward. And so maybe they are purposely going, let's give him the Goldberg spot. But I feel like it's what he's falling into as a big, seemingly indestructible guy.
I'll say I don't think they're doing that necessarily because obviously not everyone watches NXT. But if you watch NXT, you saw that his matches were long and he had wars with Trick. He had wars with almost everybody he faced. Like those matches in NXT is where you like get like the meat and bones where like you can see he's an actual wrestler. Where Goldberg, obviously he squashed 173 people in like 2-minute matches that he just did spear jackhammer. Man, I was a huge Goldberg fan. And when he came back to WWE, I was at that event. I think it was Survivor Series. I can't remember. I was so pumped for that. And then I was like, yo, this is going to be the greatest event ever. And then I'm watching the match and I'm like, he literally speared and jackhammered him. And I'm like, this was my childhood. I was just too stupid to realize it. Like he didn't have the ability to hold those matches. And that's why the whole crowd soured on him over those years. Cause it's like, we were blinded. Like we thought Goldberg was this great wrestler that everyone was like, yeah, this is the man. And then as an adult, I'm watching him just spear and jackhammer a guy. And I'm like, what is this? That is not Obafemi. Carried the match. Yeah. Nick, you got that. That's what I'll say. I know we were going to get into the call-ups, but yeah, Nick, you had something on that?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a very valid point, but I'll tell you the Goldberg treatment is because the way they produce him and how he comes out, the lights, the camera angles, they produce him like a big monster. And no, that's a valid point. But like you said before, Ryan, if you watch his NXT matches, you know he can wrestle. And Goldberg, I'm sorry, after 5 minutes, you can't wrestle, man. So,
Yeah.
and you know what? That's a valid point. If you think about it, all his main roster matches are squash matches. So I'm like, well, what the fuck's going on? Because he can actually go in the ring, give him time. But
Yeah.
the crowd loves him, so only time will tell what they'll do with him. But yeah, no, if they give him time, he'll deliver time after time. There's no debate about that.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. I actually like the build that they're doing for him. I think he's right where he needs to be right now. I thought the WrestleMania thing with Brock was great. I thought
Yes.
you have to do this. They do this with every monster giant. You give him a small guy, he beats the crap out of them. This is nothing new, right? He will eventually get a war with somebody. I think they need to find the right opponent. I don't know who that is, but they're teasing Roman. I think that happens at WrestleMania. I don't think that happens anytime soon, but he will get his series with somebody. It's just, who do you give it to? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They could revisit it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they dropped the ball huge with Rusev because when he came, he had massive potential, and then he just fell up. He just fell apart. And another big man that people don't talk about, but who they dropped the ball with was Omos. I think he had a lot of potential because as a big man, and if you take into account his Japanese work, he can actually wrestle when he got given time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope I'm happy. We're going to jump into this topic right now. I'm happy I didn't see his name on the releases because he's technically is still employed with WWE.
Yep.
I've seen him more in AAA fighting, as Michael Cole would say, midgets. But
he's good, man.
Yeah.
The clip of him kicking Microman was actually pretty fucking fantastic.
Yeah, that was funny.
If I'm being honest, but
yeah,
go ahead, man.
I do think Omos versus Oba will happen. I just feel like they need to bring Nectarius, like you said. I think they need to bring him in at the right time. And if they bring him back at the right time, then they got to give him a new gimmick. They can't just bring him back as, oh, I'm tall and this and that, and then just have him squash people and then it goes to hell. He needs to do something. I don't know what it is, but they need to find a way to bring him back and then put him up with Oba.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, they're in a hard place with Oba because they got to protect him and they got to give him proper feuds. They don't want to rush feuds and matches with him because they're building him as a special attraction. So you want to make him feel like a big deal.
Yeah. So let's talk about this because the last 48 hours have been kind of crazy in the world of professional wrestling. It's post-Mania season. Post-Mania season, we see two things. We see NXT call-ups, and they're coming in like crazy right now. NXT call-ups, we literally just had Oba, Trick, Jordan Grace. There's a bunch of other names I'm missing, all come up and be pretty successful so far, right? Now they're about to bring up Blake Monroe. They're about to bring up Ricky Saints. They just brought Fatal Attraction in on SmackDown. Like, some people are going to be losing spots. And now we've saw over 20 wrestlers lose their job in the last 48 hours. Like, let me run you guys through some of the names that have been released. Alba Fire, Aleister Black, Andre Chase, Apollo Crews, Bo Dallas, Dante Chen from NXT, Dexter Lumis, Eric Rowan, Joe Gacy. Pretty much the Wyatt Six is dead. That's gone. It's forever. we got to get into that. Kyrie Sane, which pissed me off. Luca Crucifino, Malik Blade, Motor City Machine Guns, Santos Escobar, Nikki Cross. Oh my God, I'm not even done. And the two that did not make any sense to me is Zelina Vega and Zoe Stark. Like, talent talent was released in this last one. Let me just say, I feel like Zoe Stark kind of got screwed because she's been injured for like a year and a half, because like before the injury, if you remember, she had a really good program with Trish Stratus, and she was like involved with her, Becky. They had the cage match. Like she was like, I'm like, they finally found something for her, and she's going to actually use this to get out of like the dungeon. And then unfortunately she got injured. And my thought process was, okay, they're not going to fire her while she's injured. And they let her go. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. Like that is ass. Like you can't do that. But I know she's going to end up in AEW because she is a talent and she could actually wrestle. And I think she just obviously needed the right gimmick, its timing just absolutely sucks. Zelina Vega that was confusing because you get her husband from AEW to come back, you pair them up. This is what everyone's been waiting for. They kind of, I don't know if I'm the only one who's like, I haven't heard this. They kind of, I feel like they kind of copied Scarlett and what's his name? Oh my god, Karrion Kross's thing. Am I the only one to see that? Like they kind of are like mirroring.
They have similar.
They kind of have similar stuff, yeah. And that was the only thing that I was just like, okay, this is kind of very close to them too. But I still liked what they were doing. They had a great program with Damian Priest. They gave Damian Priest the win on that, and then they kind of just like went to shit. And then now you're releasing that. Like I hate it because immediately everyone's like they're going to AEW. But like, can they really go to AEW? He just left. Like, I don't know if that's going to happen. So, and she's pissed. She went on her Twitch stream and just basically said, you guys couldn't give me the decency to tell me this. And you would let these media people basically report before I could even like say it myself, which like I feel for her. So I went through the names. Who you guys shocked at? Obviously, I'm the two I'm most pissed at is Zelina, Zoe, and Alistair. But any names like don't make sense to you? Like, yeah. Done.
Yeah. I'll give you some fight back. I'll give you some fight back on the Fiend. That era, I will too eventually.
The club, the fun house. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, I watched Raw just to see what was going on with the freaking Funhouse promos. Like, those were hilarious. Those creeped me out. And I was just like, okay, this is actually TV I want to see. Was he the greatest wrestler? No, because you have to remember, this is Husky Harris. This is Nexus Husky Harris. So was I the biggest fan of his wrestling? No. But you always need the performative guy. You always need the guy that can just energize and entertain a crowd just from being in the ring. And he had everybody captivated anytime he was in the ring, even if it was a short match, quick match, just an appearance. Like, I remember when he's just doing the lighting thing in the arenas. Like, we haven't seen that since Taker. Like, nobody really controlled the lighting like that. Nobody could really get the crowd to put their phones up, you know. And they did him wrong too. They didn't use him properly at all. Yeah. 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 But no, I'll join you in saying the Wyatt Six fell 100% short of whatever they were trying to do. I was more pissed that they wasted that beautiful introduction. Like, if you remember how they introduced them, where they just beat the crap out of, oh my God, Kurt Angle lookalike. What's I can't believe Gable. I call him Kurt Angle lookalike. Gable. Yeah. When they beat the crap out of Gable and they had like the entire arena and Gorilla look like it just got sabotaged, I was like, okay, you guys are doing a fantastic job introducing them, but what are you going to do after? And it just went downhill after that. Yeah. Yeah. It was a fail. It was a fail. And we were about to get the breakup. It was coming.
Yeah.
It was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Selena and Alistair, I was surprised by that. I think that he, like, that intro that he has and adding her to it, yes, it is very similar to the Crosses, but he was doing that intro. Like, I remember when him and Ricochet teamed up at Mania 35, and his intro was one of the most interesting ones that night. And, you know, the coffin raising and everything like that. And I think that there was more meat on that bone with the two of them and building them more. And, you know, the rumor was that he was supposed to be involved with Randy at some point for this Mania, but that got kiboshed, which is very interesting. Wyatt Six, yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like that intro that they had was great. But I do have to say that was the same thing with The Fiend. You know, they teased and they teased and they teased, and then they finally did the Firefly Funhouse. And then they showed The Fiend, and I was at the SummerSlam where he faced Balor, and that's one of the coolest matches I ever watched. And I think that WWE is the only company that could have done The Fiend properly from a production point of view, but they unfortunately didn't understand what they had. I think he could have been a much more psychological. You know, you do the cinematic match of Cena versus The Fiend, and it's one of the most praised things on what was also a garbage WrestleMania, but under circumstance.
Yeah.
But if you end that match and don't have Titus O'Neil go, "What the hell was that?" That's that was like the point of like, why you like, don't mention it. Like, this could have all been happening in Cena's mind in an episode of your television if you want to play it like that. I think that they just didn't understand what they had with him, and they wanted to do a similar thing with the Wyatts because all those characters are owned by them, and they've been wanting to give life to those characters. You know, they tried to make Bray versus the demon one time as Sister Abigail versus the demon, but that luckily he got sick, and so that got changed the last minute to Balor versus Styles, which was a great match. But I think that's where they get lost is they want another Undertaker. And so any cerebral, like, thought provoking character, they just go, okay, let's make him spooky. Let's do this. That's almost how they went with the Judgment Day when Edge first made them. So I think it comes down to the company not being able to produce something like that without getting in their own way. And finally, I don't get cutting Kyrie. You know, her turning on Asuka could have been one of the biggest babyface pops that company's had in a long time.
Oh man.
And having her join up with EO or then leading into a three-way with those three, which would be phenomenal. You know, Asuka's been treated so badly as well over the last 10 years. When she was in Japan, she was a murderer. She could have been like the female Kane if they wanted to use her properly.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to understand a lot of characters and gimmicks but the Kyrie thing, I don't get. Like, I guess it just comes down to dollars. You know, how much was this person's contract? How much were all five of these people's contracts? How much they had a number that they had to get rid of. And they went, okay, these people are expendable, gone. We need to give a couple big names just to get bigger money off of our paperwork.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It's one of the hardest parts about this company just after WrestleMania, because we all know it's happening. It's been happening consistently for 6 years now.
Yeah.
But hopefully all those people can figure something out for themselves. You look at the Matt Cardonas, you look at Cody, you look at Drew, and all these people who went off and did something else and made themselves bigger. Well, I don't think Matt Cardona is ever going to reach the plateau that he wants to, or that he did in the Indies.
Yeah.
But he's back, and he's he's selling T-shirts, and that could potentially happen with those people, or they go to AEW and make a ton of money for not being on television. Who knows? That's always an option.
Yeah. That Kyrie thing pisses me off.
I think so too. Yeah. Yep, I agree.
EO, I'll say this: EO's actually, like, she's been on. Like, they've pushed her like tremendously. I'd say in the last year, like, they made her beat Rhea and Jade at WrestleMania. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, my bad. Rhea and Bianca at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He was arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world, not just women's wrestlers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I agree.
Oh yeah, that she wasn't even on there. I forgot. Yeah, her and Tiff is a big miss.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, the year before they rushed Becky back and pushed out Bayley, and Becky hadn't been seen on TV in how long? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Nick, I'll give you final word. Like, what's your take on the releases?
Yeah, releases are always
Oh,
part of
I
the
think you're.
business.
Oh,
It
yeah.
sucks. It sucks, but like you guys said, the biggest standpoint for me was Aleister Black and Selena Vega, Kyrie Sane, and like again, I understood the White Six appeal in the beginning because the way they introduced them, but again, they fell so hard so fast because they don't even use the tag team division properly. Another release, the Motor City Machine Guns, one of the best tag teams in wrestling. They never got a pop in WWE, man. And Santos Escobar, another big loss. But the thing is, they're all talented. They're all gonna find their way to either AEW, New Japan, or TNA. So only time will tell where everybody goes. But I'm really frustrated for Aleister Black and Zelina Vega always getting released. They're too talented to get released all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. And I'm not gonna lie to you, like I wouldn't be surprised to see if one or two of them come back at some point as a surprise.
Yeah.
Like we've seen
Yeah,
it
yeah, of course.
when they released Our Truth and then the internet blew up and we all saw what happened there. It shows you that when fans call you out, they do sometimes act. And I think Kyrie is probably the one that everyone's actually like really in support of right now. Like, this is this was already her second stint with WWE because she was released before. And
Yeah.
at that time, I don't think anyone cared, but
Yes.
people care right now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her down the road when the funds come back and maybe that they could bring her back as a surprise, especially with the fanfare that she actually had this time. But just kind of getting away from, the sad topics. Let's like close this out here with some good stuff. Danhausen. Danhausen was in AEW and he was the comedic relief, barely wrestled, but he was still enjoyable to watch. I don't know how much you guys watched AEW when he was there, but I always liked Danhausen in AEW. I thought, okay, this guy's hilarious. Yeah, it's a little goofy, vampire, yada, yada, whatever. They booed his ass at the Elimination Chamber. And I was just like, I don't think these guys understand what they just brought in. And I get it. They teased him in a way that kind of, it would piss me off too if I didn't really know who Danhausen was. They have this mysterious box. Meanwhile, you have the tea leaves and the rumor mill saying that Jericho's coming back. So I get the initial disappointment to see this cartoonish vampire character come out of the box and like you got like Gilbert like pyro for him. So I get why, I hate using casuals, but like I get why the everyday person watching this would be upset. But now, ever since they booed him, week to week, if you follow WWE on Instagram, if you follow them on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, if you watch ESPN, this guy has been killing it in every backstage segment, every appearance he's ever made. He's just phenomenal. Like he's at our truth like level in terms of like his ability to like just like entertain a crowd. Like, are you guys fans of Danhausen? Let's just say that. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's grown ass men wearing Danhausen shirts. Miz's house is fucking ridiculous. Miz's house is crazy. A good amount of time is
A
just
couple
that
years.
he
Yeah, a
wasn't
couple
being
years.
used. Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
have any. No.
Yeah. And we saw him in 2 matches so far, and he can actually wrestle.
What's on? It's hilarious what he's doing out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I think there's an echo. The 2 matches we've seen, he's been great. He's been fantastic. Anybody else a fan of Danhausen?
I'll show right over my shoulder the 2 action figures I already have of him. His shirt that I own is getting ready to be washed. No, I love him. I think he's great. I think that intro, like I said, was not a proper introduction to him in a certain way. But he took it and said, I had such a big pop last night. You need to put me in the Hall of Fame. You need to get the blimp. You need to put me on the trucks. And it worked. That whole like retro. I mean, WWE is really good at retroactively telling a story, and I think that intro will go down as a good introduction, as being a bad introduction, because that's what his character suits in a lot of ways. But I have a buddy who we text about wrestling all the time, and when he had heard there's a possibility that Danhausen is in the crate, he was like, "What's this guy gonna do? What's like? He's like, can he even wrestle? What is?" And I kept saying to him, "Dude, this is the perfect guy for WWE. This is the perfect gimmick for WWE." And the fact that they're selling the curse, Dominic lost the Intercontinental title. That Kick guy, I don't know him that well, but all their like him getting cursed, the curse happening during the match, and the sparkler going off behind him while he's on the top rope.
Yeah.
All the things they've done to sell the curse has made him believable, made him interesting, made him an X factor in other people's matches. And he didn't need to have a match yet. They could have literally held him until SummerSlam, put him in a multi-man at Survivor Series, or have his first time in the ring in a match at the Rumble. They could have waited that long with him and just kept putting him out there, and it would have worked, I think. And I saw an interview with him the other day where he said they have 38 things for sale of me right now. I think I'm doing pretty well with my sales and my merchandise. So yeah, it seems like the sky's the limit with him. And I think he's going to be good on TV for the next little while. And he is one of those people where he can disappear for a little bit and then do the thing of getting pulled out from underneath the ring or coming out of a box or whatever, and he'll get a huge pop. I don't think they can overuse him at this point right now. I'm sure they could eventually, but yeah, I'm a big fan. And that guy that I said who was like, I don't think anything of it, I don't think this is going to go well. 2 segments in, he texted me, he goes, I think I'm a Danhausen fan. And I was like, yeah, dude, I told you he's good. He is what this company is based on in a lot of ways. So yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a Fanhausen, if you will.
Yeah. Like, man, it's hard for me because, again, I watched AEW, so I've seen him before, so I knew what he was about. I did think they did him a disservice with that intro, but I also I can understand what you said, where it kind of goes with his character, where it's like very nice, very evil, and it's just like this, like, like we all know it's silly as hell, but like you can't help but like just get like into it. So
Sure.
it worked. It worked. And I just like the fact that everyone's kind of 180 on him 100%. And we're now, like, everyone's pretty much enjoying it.
For sure. Yep.
They're both they're comedic relief guys. Yeah.
Say, I mean, it was the same as Drake Maverick, when Drake Maverick started going on that 24/7 run, and they were doing, like his wedding. They showed him on his wedding night with the belt and the tighty whities and stuff like that. It's a small little goofy guy who has some wrestling skills but also had a name outside of the company, which gave him his leg up in the first place. So I like I said, I think, I don't love the El Grande Americano saga that's going on, but I also get it. I see why people are into it and why they, it's that thing of people not understanding why we love wrestling. It's because a stupid little gimmick like this can show up and you fall in love with it, or it's because of uh, finishing the story angle where it is, a person's whole life and their father's legacy and all that kind of stuff. It's the thing of there's multiple different aspects of wrestling that we can all fall in love with. So, yeah man.
Yeah.
I told you.
Cold Steve Austin. Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cola Man Punk, Coffee Man Punk.
Yeah. Nectarius, I know you fell off the call for a bit, but any thoughts on Danhausen?
Yeah, I was a big fan of him in the Indies, so was familiar with his gimmick, and it just goes to show you the difference between WWE and AEW. And you know what? I have an example. It's like when Rey Mysterio came from WCW to WWE, and WWE capitalized on his marketing and merchandising with the mask. And it's crazy that AEW couldn't do that. And if you think about this, like we said before, it's crazy how his first match is at WrestleMania, and AEW couldn't do anything with him.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
very well.
It's two different companies, and yeah, like Mark said earlier, it's like he's just the perfect gimmick. It's the perfect guy for a WWE because they know how to deal with those kind of characters. Where AEW is still this company that's, they're trying to build, they're trying to get better, they're trying to become like competitive. Now, I will say this, as again we're winding down here, like, I don't know how frequent you guys watch AEW, but they're actually doing, like, for the first time in over, I don't know how long they've been around. Like, it got to be like 5 or 7 years, probably like 6 or 7 years, something like that. Like, they're kind of becoming a competitor. In terms of like their actual program, again, it's hard for me to watch it just because with WWE being on Netflix in Canada, at least, we're blessed. Thank God. Sorry for you guys in the States, but WWE in Canada, everything's on Netflix. You can literally watch this anytime you want, right after the show ends, during the show, mid-show. I join Raw half the time, halfway into it, and I just fast forward through everything that I need to see. So WWE's just done a fantastic job with making their stuff accessible for the Canadians, thank God. AEW's on TSN, but you got to have PVR, you got to have the sports package in order to, or you basically have to be at your TV ready to watch it, right? So for the everyday wrestling fan that doesn't have all that and doesn't have all the apps, it's kind of hard to just plug in and play, right? Especially for the pay-per-views. Like the pay-per-views, they always got that graphic on their social media. You can watch AEW on Fight TV. You can watch AEW on what's that football app that everyone has?
The Zone.
DAZN, you could, like, you know what I mean? So you have to either subscribe here, you have to subscribe here, you have to pay this. And I can't remember who mentioned it earlier. They're capitalizing because you have to spend 60, I think this is Nectarius, you have to spend like 60, 65 bucks just to go watch their stuff. So they're still making money the original pay-per-view method, but eventually they need to get to, you know, the app. And I think they're building the My AEW thing that's coming soon. But do you guys have any thoughts on where AEW stands right now? Like, obviously, I'll tell you this. I'm a MJF fan. Like, that dude is hilarious. He is your classic, like, attitude era heel. Like, we always talk about, like, basketball. Like, would LeBron last in the Jordan era? Like, would he like be able to compete with these guys? MJF would hold up with the Stone Colds, the Rocks, the Triple H. I kind of get Triple H vibes from MJF. Like, just the attitude, the cockiness of what he's able to do. He's an asshole on the mic. He keeps kayfabe up. Kayfabe is not completely dead in wrestling. There's some guys that still hold kayfabe, and MJF is one of them. Like, I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter or any socials. The way he talks to people, the way he talks to his own wife, the way he talks about his mom. His mom will come to the crowd and she'll be holding a sign saying, "I hate my son." Like that's how you know kayfabe is still alive, and he is just like, he's brilliant. Like, he does interviews with, shout out to Chris Van Fleet, one of the best wrestling interviewers we have. He does interviews with him, and he literally just stays in character. He talks shit to Chris, acts like he never met him, and he's done like 3 or 4 different interviews with him. So I think MJF is like gold. And I really wanted him in WWE, but I'm kind of also happy he's in AEW because, AEW is actually killing it these days. Their women's division, fantastic. You got Tekla out of Australia. She's your women's champion right now. Toni Storm. Now, what was her alter ego? Timeless Toni Storm. She killed that, man. I was watching, that was when I was watching AEW like every week religiously. Timeless Toni Storm had me like in a hold. Like, WWE dropped the ball on her. I just remember Charlotte threw a cake in her face and we never saw her again. And then ended up in AEW, and then she's just been killing it. You know, I can go Willow Nightingale. You got Chris Statlander. Their women's division holds up just as much as the WWE's does. But do we have AEW fans here? Like, are you guys watching, or do you think that, you know, maybe we might see another like repeat of the 83 weeks where WCW beat WWE? Do you think they have that ability?
Yeah.
Ronda made an appearance on the pay-per-view, yes. Who knows what they do with her moving forward, but they would be stupid not to use her.
Yeah. He hasn't wrestled in a while. He's been on their commentary a little bit. Yeah.
Now he's retired.
Yeah. No, I agree with you guys. I think, I mean, MJF is probably one of the best, like, all around wrestling characters that they've got, that anybody's got. I really like Swerve Strickland. I think again, another person who WWE didn't know what they had when they had him.
Yep.
Obviously, of course, I'm blanking on his name right now. Aerial Assassin.
Will Ospreay.
Oh, Will Ospreay.
Ospreay.
Oh,
Ospreay is incredible. I think, yeah, a guy like him, WWE should have picked up, you know, almost 10 years ago now at this point. And I know at one point he was saying he didn't want to leave Japan. He didn't want to be out of that side of the world. but I'm sure there's a lot of those guys who they say that and want a WrestleMania moment, and I think he would have been a really good one for that. But no, yeah, and then like you said, with I think like MJF and Timeless Tony Storm are two of the best characters in wrestling, and I was the biggest AEW fan when they first came out. And then when the second backstage Punk fight happened, I was kind of over it. I was just like, this, you've got probably one of the biggest names in professional wrestling, and you can't keep him happy. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think they've come so close to really shitting the bed so many times. The exploding barbed wire match comes to mind where it was a single firecracker going off. I think that original, the Dark Order had a real potential when they first came in, and then they had that night where the one guy was not punching Dustin Rhodes, and it was meant to be the big angle. There's just a lot of really big flubs that I think any other company would have gone away if they didn't have the money that AEW has. I think Edge and Christian and some of the other older names that they have are helpful to them, but it doesn't put them on the map the way, like, I can't, they're not going to catch up to WWE. When you say I'm a big professional wrestling fan, what do most people who don't watch wrestling say to you? Like WWF or WWE? People only know that brand for the most part. And when you say something like AEW, it's just words to them. It's just, you said 3 letters. It's something, they think of that as independent. They don't think of it as something that's on national television. So I feel like until they can get and keep a big name, and you're right, I'm not interested in hearing Jim Ross anymore. He was great in the Attitude Era, and he's a legend. I fucking hate Tony Schiavone. I've hated Tony Schiavone my whole life. The last AEW event I went to, I yelled, right as they went to commercial, I yelled, "Eat shit, Schiavone." And it's like, it feels good right now just repeating that. Like, I hate that guy so much. He's useless. And Excalibur as well. I think that guy's a very good announcer and knows that version of wrestling very well. But take the fucking mask off. Be a you're no longer a wrestler.
Right.
They're not able. They want to be seen as the wrestling league, which is different from WWE. We're not silly. We're not goofy. We're not this kind of thing. But then they have a guy in a mask doing their announcing. They have guys, like Kota Ibushi purposely dropping himself into glass and no selling it. Like, there's a lot of stuff where you go like, hey, no, like, you need to keep this looking real in a certain sense. And you need to always take yourself seriously. And if you're going to let little things like that slip through the cracks, it's always going to make you look amateur and not look like the big thing that everyone knows and has celebrities showing up too. We did a whole thing about celebrities and everything like that. Very few celebrities are going to go to AEW unless they're directly connected to TNT, TBS, Warner Media, and but again, I think Shaq and Mike Tyson going in were Tony Khan going, these are names that have been in WWE. They're names that people know, and I can pay them enough money to show up on my television and do a match. Whereas
Shaq's a TNT guy, like you said. Yeah,
exactly. And so I think they're always going to be hard pressed to get new eyes on their product until they're able to mainstream / give themselves a bit more of a serious edge. That's my opinion anyways.
Yeah. You know what? Like, it's true. I would say they're going to have hiccups, like any new wrestling company. And they're still, in my opinion, they're still new. It's been like 6, 7, 8 years. I don't remember. I know they have their anniversary recently, but they're going to make the hiccups. They've been making hiccups. But as of late, in terms of the wrestling, in terms of where the promotion is, I do see the growth. I don't know if they'll ever get to that WCW spot where they can brag that they're beating them every week, but
Yeah.
you always want to have a number two. You need a solid number two, and I think they can keep in that lane where they won't shut down. And that's all I ask, because I hate the tribalism, guys. I hate it. I hate going online and you see in the comment section, you only watch WWE. You only watch AEW. This is crap. It's like the Drake Kendrick beef. You can't argue. You can't talk to anybody because they're all just going to side with the one. And I'm trying to tell people, it's like you kind of need both in order for WWE not to get lazy. Because when I tuned out of WWE, it was during the time when there was no competition. TNA was not even anywhere near a distant second. They had the PG era, Super Cena, the Divas were out. It wasn't the greatest product. And I used to watch wrestling religiously. That era, I was like, I'm watching this thing once a month. I PVR. I'll skip to I watch the start of the program because that's when it's hot, and I watch the end of the program, and I already know everything that's happened. That was that era. And then AEW came, and they kind of made them have to do something, right? And then I kind of thank AEW for giving us the Bloodline era, because that was literally the last 5 to 6 years, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He
Grace was
was.
AEW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get really a chance to talk about TNA, but I will just say the growth is there. They got the TV deal. They just signed the hottest indie free agent wrestler in oh my god, I'm drawing a blank right now. Sosa. Ricky Sosa. And apparently people thought he was just an entrance, but again, another case where he can actually wrestle if you watch his matches. So if you don't know or haven't seen or don't watch TNA, because I know that's, again, hard to keep up because they just got the TV deal, but check out Ricky Sosa on TNA. Santana, I think, is their TNA champion.
Yes, Mike Santana, yes.
Mike Santana. I used to love watching Mike Santana, and another AEW guy that ended up in TNA, but they're doing good. They're doing good. I would say this has probably been the best they've had since the days of like the Main Event Mafia, Kurt Angle, Kevin Nash, and all those guys running over TNA. And there was a little bit of interest. Then obviously TNA fell drastically apart when all those guys basically either left or retired. But it's a watchable program if you don't. But yeah, in general, that I would say is the state of wrestling. They could be doing a lot better. I'll say that. I think the pieces are there in WWE to return back to glory days. I'll ask you guys one more last question before we kind of like part ways here, unless you guys had something you wanted to bring up. But Do you guys think they're about to bring back the bloodline? Over Jacob. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're teasing it.
Yeah.
Literally. Literally, the horrible WrestleMania. Okay, emergency plan. Bring back the bloodline.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was an era. It was great. Oh yeah, yeah. Did Kevin
Yeah.
Owens not make his debut Raw after Mania or no? I think he didn't. I think he'd be. I don't know if it was WrestleMania, but I remember Kevin Owens just. Yeah, yeah, and then just beat Cena, and I was like, wow, like this is the greatest thing ever. Yeah, yeah, it wasn't good. It was just a bunch of NXT call ups that we're gonna see, pretty much. Ethan Page. Yeah. I hope it's not the last time we see him on screen. He doesn't have to wrestle again, but I'd like to see him in like what
I
they
think
did with
Lesnar. I
AJ.
think Lesnar and Gunther is. I think so too. I think this was the way to give Oba the win and give people a reason to want to see Brock again.
Yeah.
And they set that seed of Gunther saying, "I'll take on Rollins, but you owe me something," to Heyman, and to the bloodline thing. I mean, Solo still hasn't had a match at Mania. I hope that they start doing something with Solo. I think Fatu and Breaker is a Mania main event that they're, the two times they've gone nose to nose, the entire crowd lost their shit. So they have something there. JC Mateo, Jeff Cobb, I really want to see more with him. I think that, again, another guy who 8 years ago WWE should have brought in and made him a monster the way they're trying to do with Oba now. Like, he's what Taz was in ECW, and they don't really seem to want to use him properly. But
MFT.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they did.
Yeah.
They did the one match with him and Angle, and it looked good, but they buried his finish right off the hop. But no, I that's true. I hope I hope they don't stick with the bloodline angle for very long. But I think you're right. I think they need something to go back to. I don't know who they want to put Roman against, because I think that belt won't be on Roman for nearly as long as he had his last title run.
No.
I think he's like potentially could lose it by SummerSlam. He definitely won't walk into the next Mania with it. I think it's one of these new guys, or Rollins will take it off him very soon. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. Gunther's an option. I still think Fatu. I know they're making this thing of like, you're not ready, you're not ready. Maybe that's one of those things of like, we kept saying he's not ready, so that when we proved he's ready, you go like, oh, I guess he is ready, and it's a surprise in a certain sense. And I think they missed the ball on putting it on Breaker when Rollins left. But like I said, I think
the injury.
I think Breaker and Fatu is a match that is going to blow our minds if it's done properly. And yeah, I there's things that can happen.
Yeah.
Well, and Rollins didn't sell it good the second one, and that's that pissed me off from that night. I was like, Rollins didn't take that right. All the times he's, you want somebody like Dolph Ziggler to take it because he'll make it look like $1 million. And if Rollins has kind of a Shawn Michaels thing to him, if he doesn't want to make you look good that night, he's not going to. And I think, yeah.
That was a large ramp. He was probably
It's an interesting spot
gassed.
for it, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Nino, any final takes on Mania, the releases, anything we talked about?
Well, I'll talk about AEW a little bit, Bloodline, and maybe Lesnar. So my issue with AEW was never the wrestling, because it was how they booked everything. Because on paper they have one of the best rosters. So, and really right now they're really hitting their mark. But I just don't like how Darby Allin beat MJF, because I know Darby Allin was working hard. He won multiple titles, but I just didn't like the way MJF lost the title. And as you said before, the women's division has improved tremendously. And as far as the bloodline is concerned, I think they're teasing it right now. Can they bring it back and execute their brilliance like they did in the past? I don't know. And as you guys said about Solo Sikoa, I hope they do something with him, because honestly, the MFTs have just fallen flat, because you can see that he has a lot of talent in him. He's very funny, but it's disappointing that he hasn't had a WrestleMania match. And I think as far as Lesnar's concerned, I think Gunther will troll him in order to get a match with him at SummerSlam. Maybe get his family involved, trigger an emotion that he might want to come back to the ring. So only time will tell, and hopefully we get to see a proper retirement at SummerSlam for Lesnar.
Yeah, I agree. I think you guys all said it. I think I would love to see Lesnar coming back, even if it's just for one more appearance at SummerSlam. The MFTs have fallen short because the Wyatt Six also fell short. That thing went on way too long, and it just looked like it had no finish at all. So, it was hard to watch that week to week, and I'm glad they kind of killed it. It sucks that it had to be killed in that way. But yeah, and like we've been, it's almost been the 2-hour mark here, so I appreciate you guys' patience and staying on and chatting with us. We lost Mark, but Mark told me everything is good on his end, and he's having a good time. Yeah, this is the state of wrestling. Again, you're listening to Wrestling with My Thoughts. It's the first episode. We'll see if we can do something like this after most of the big time events. So again, we're not going to be doing this every week. We're not going to be doing this every pay-per-view. You might get this after the Rumble. You might get this after SummerSlam. You might get this after All In, AEW All In. But we're going to be talking the state of wrestling every quarter, I would think. And again, if you have any thoughts, you can always hit us up in the comment section. This will be on Spotify soon. You can again watch us live on Twitch, and of course you can add us on Instagram. That is wrestling with my spots, WRASSLING. And again, not your average podcast, not your average wrestling channel. But again, Nino, thank you for holding fort. You guys can go. I hope your Lakers are winning. I haven't really been watching the game, but
they're losing by 6 right now, but they should come back.
They should come back. All right. Well, I hope they do, because I do want to see my guy play in the second round. I want to see Luka. I'm not a Lakers fan, but I will always be a Luka guy. So,
Yep.
But yeah, thank you guys, and we are out. All right.